General Johnson. Right about 1990-91, division commander of the 82nd Airborne Division. I was there. Can't remember his first name. For some reason you'd think you should remember the first name of somebody important. I mean, I remember Carl Steiner, Major General Carl Steiner. He was my division commander before Major General Johnson. I worked out of the 82nd Airborne Division headquarters. I was in the Assistant Division Engineer's office, which you might think Assistant Division Engineer, but that was Major Hickey, that was Major somebody else, that was Major Temple. Major Temple became a Lieutenant General. He's the one I went to Iraq with. Desert Shield, Desert Storm, beginning to end, first in, last out, motherfucker. You, Schwartz and Koff, or whatever the hell your name was, brought all your tankers in late and sent them before us. We're supposed to be out of there already. Either way, it doesn't matter. The point is, Major General Carl Steiner, I think he came out of Tennessee. He told me that when I was standing next to him in the urinal in division headquarters one day. I was standing there and I was just taking a pee. I was just probably a PFC and E3 at the time. And he came and stood at the urinal next to me and he started pissing. He wore the same hat. We didn't wear it inside because you don't. But we had the maroon beret or the red beret, or maybe Prince would want to talk about a raspberry beret, the kind you would find in a secondhand store, or the kind that she might have stolen from her father and now you're banging her with her dad's hat on. I don't know what Prince was writing about. I've never been a listener, really. Not that there's anything wrong with him. I just don't listen anymore. Never been in music, man. Major General Carl Steiner comes up and he starts pissing like a damn racehorse next to me. Still got a good stream. And he looks at me and he says, And I said, and I looked at him, I said, nothing makes you feel like a real man like a good piss, sir. As we're both peeing together, and he looked, he said, airborne. So, you know, you're not supposed to talk to your generals and things like that, but I've always been around people let me get away with things for some reason. Not so much anymore. I think people are catching on. But you look at it, that was Carl Steiner, Major General. And then you've got Major General Johnson. He took over after him. And there's an interesting thing about Major General Johnson. Before he was Major General, I know it makes sense. He was Lieutenant General, a one-star general. But the point I bring up with that is we, my friends and I jumped into the 82nd Airborne Division Convention in Louisville, Kentucky. They had us flying over and we jumped onto the airfield. They gave us shoulder pads and knee pads and things because you're jumping onto the tarmac. It's the first time I've ever had shoulder pads and knee pads for a jump. But they flew us in, and we got the whole 4-day weekend to be there drinking with World War II glider pilots and shit like that. All these fucking people that are like, you know, ha, ha, ha. Guys that have stories that legs don't. And, Yeah, we jumped into that, and I didn't need the knee pads and the shin pads because I was able to direct my parachute like any good paratrooper could with what they've gotten to give you. I think it was a T-10 Charlie, rather, or Bravo. There was another one that had little things you could turn with, and people kept hitting each other with them. They didn't let us use those for long. Everybody's having too much fun. But you crawl up the risers and you can move and you can turn where you're going with the wind. I landed in the grass between the fucking runway. Why would I need this shit? It would only take an uneducated paratrooper to land on fucking asphalt. Point's coming. The point is, Major General Johnson, who was our division commander in Desert Shield and Desert Storm, he was just Lieutenant General at the time of the 82nd Airborne Division Convention when I jumped in. And when we went inside, he was there. I didn't know it. Went inside, and hey, and all these World War II vets. How old are you? I was 18, so it must have been like 88. Yeah, 1988, I suppose. And all these, the bartenders say, I don't care how old you are. How old you are? I'm like, I'm only 18. Sure, I don't care how old you are. They filled us full of beers, and we built the fucking pyramid with all the empties. And I remember being out in the lobby of this fucking place just loaded. I ran into a lieutenant that was in my unit that was married to a captain from another unit. She was always a beautiful woman. I found her very attractive, so I was drawn to them. And oh, Lieutenant Cousins, oh, Captain Cousins, nice to see you. And I looked, and there was this guy, this old man standing next to them. And I looked at him, I said, hey, nice to see you. And I grabbed this guy's fucking hand and was shaking the shit out of it. I thought he was a World War II vet. And it turned out he was one of ours. And he says, Lieutenant General Johnson, nice to meet you. And what's your name, son? And he's shaking my hand, just looking at me and hating me because he's one of these generals that thinks he's something fucking special. Not like Steiner, who could take a piss with you and talk a minute, but just some guy that just thought he's not reading Sun Tzu's fucking Art of War. He doesn't know how to treat your lessers and shit like that. And he's got me going. And I looked at him and I said, I know you. This is the quote. I'm shaking his hand thinking he's an old fucking man. And I said, I know you. I said, you're General Johnson. And he's shaking my hand. He's like, you seem to know my name, son. What's yours? And Lieutenant Cousins over there, my last name. They just throw parts of your last name on you in the military if it's too long. And Lieutenant Cousins, I'm shaking, yeah, what's your name? And Lieutenant Cousins says, don't tell him, Quist. And I said, I took the advice right away. I was loaded. I said, I don't think I should tell you that. And I let go of him and I walked out and blacked out and woke up in a fucking school somewhere not too far away where they were keeping us. They dumped us off buses somewhere. But the thing is, that was Lieutenant General Johnson trying to figure out who the fuck I am. And he's a guy that was Major General Johnson at the time when we went to Desert Shield and Desert Storm 90 and 91. And when we were done with it, he said, nobody takes anything. And it really disrupted the mind of us that were over there to fight, you know. You're supposed to be able to take things. And this morning in Sun Tzu's Art of War, I'm reading through it again. The one thing they said about being a leader is when you send an army in to pillage a village, you have to let the soldiers take the spoils. That's part of the art of war. How do you keep soldiers happy? You give them memories of what they did. But Lieutenant General, Major General Johnson at the time, he said no. He put out an order, and it upset a lot of people. Interesting thing. We got back from there, and it was before I got out. I got out within 4 to 6 months. I was ready. I was reaching the end, my ETS date, expiration, term of services. I was getting out already. So within the time of getting back from Iraq and the time that I got out, it was sent all over the division, the 82nd Airborne Division. It was heard everywhere because people didn't like Major General Johnson. It was sent all over that. When we got back, he had a party and had all these highfalutin people over to some kind of party. So on the night that he got his commission for Lieutenant General, I've been reading them wrong. Brigadier General is all he was. Yeah, you got me. You got me. It's been a while. Brigadier General, Major General. He was supposed to be getting promoted to Lieutenant General, like Major Temple would eventually become. And the letter came in with his commission statement, and it said, no, your commission has been rebuked. He got stuck at being a Major General. He had a party, just like saying you're president and you lose. All your friends are there. Now what are they supposed to do? I guess I'll just keep on eating. Don't look them in the eye. The reason I tell you this is not to tell you he got what he had coming by being a prick, because he didn't appreciate me like Major General Steiner did. It's to tell you that just because somebody is on TV that was once a general in the United States military, it takes something to get there. But once you get up there, how much of a general was he? I have a hard time believing that this General Michael Flynn was actually General Michael Flynn. I would throw a brigadier in front of his name. My guess, I should probably look it up. It doesn't make any difference. What it means is just because you were a general in the military doesn't mean you're a decent person. And you've got somebody like this General Flynn, they put him out there on that poor guy's side like he's something. As far as I can tell, if he went to prison, he probably wasn't very loyal to his oath.